Hello Whovind and welcome back to the main channel and welcome to a brand new series, Whowind! Yes, Whowind! Whowind is a series where I review episodes and stories of Doctor Who that are not yet reviewed on this channel. So I can't review from Peter Capaldi's from the Peter Capaldi's second to last episode to the giggle. Yeah? So I didn't review the Christmas special of Peter Capaldi's final episode, but I did review the episode beforehand, and I reviewed all of Jodie Whittaker's era through to the Church on Ruby Road. Now, this episode is the pilot, so this is more of a let's see how this series will work. As the pilot episode isn't technically canonised or officially recognised within the lineup. This is why I'm not sat on a sofa, a couch or a settee, which is the setting of the rest of the series. But this is a pilot, so I just need to engage where to go with it and the best way to do it. And doing it in my usual setup is just a simple way to think more ideally of how I want things to run. So today we're talking about the Curse of Fatal Death. Now the reason why we're talking about the Curse of Fatal Death, which was a comic relief sketch set into 4 different parts, written and created by Stephen Moffat, with the 9th Doctor being Ron Atkinson, is because it got a VHS release. Ow, I don't know why I just hit myself in the face. It got a VHS release. Because it got a VHS release, it's worthy to talk about in the pilot episode of Whowind. Now, we're going to talk about this, so if you haven't seen it, and you don't have a VHS player, I've got some VHSs here. If you don't have a VHS player, it was available on the Doctor Who YouTube channel, but they've took it down since. But it is available still on the official Comic Relief YouTube channel if you just YouTube Curse of Fatal Death. Now, Adam Martin, the amazing Doctor Who YouTuber, created a video on viewing figures of the second half of the wilderness years of Doctor Who for viewing figures. So he's the one that told me in his video that there was a VHS copy of Curse of Fatal Death out there, officially released. So that is why I've come to you today. I just wanted to credit him to this, where the whole idea for the pilot came from. So the whole series is my idea, but the pilot came from the fact that he had already discovered this. Now, the Curse of Fatal Death is this comic sketch which spoofs Doctor Who, and it's the first brand new Doctor Who in a while. So when we had Richard E. Grant as the 9th Doctor for Scream of the Shalka, he had technically been canonised, but now we're just going to call him Shalka Doctor, right? Which is what I think it is called. But in this, because this is a spoof, none of this is canonised, even though it was on the front cover of Doctor Who magazine. Now, let's start at the very beginning, because it's, without knocking things over, which you might end up doing, it's a very good place to start. So, at the very beginning, this just contains spoilers if you haven't seen Curse of Fatal Death. So it starts off with our Doctor and our companion that are soon to be married. Now, our Doctor is played by Rowan Atkinson, and believe it or not, the person that plays the companion, she's best known to us with Rowan Atkinson as the woman that played Bob in Series 2, Episode 1 of Blackadder. Bob. And that's one where we find out that Nurse's real name is Bernard. So, we've seen those two together, and she also appeared in, can't remember which exact episode, but she appeared in Blackadder Goes Back and Forth, which is the 4th and final series set in World War II. Now, as we know, that Rowan Atkinson has been dotted about and rumoured and spoke about seeing a potential Doctor character. So this is where we get to see him as the Doctor. We also get it's not Anthony Ainley who played the Master, who played the, I think he played the last Classic Who version of the Master. But he looks a lot like Anthony Ainley, and it's really amazing. I mean, they weren't trying to replicate what he looked like. It was just they needed someone that looked similar because then it explained how the Master's there. Because the last time we saw the Master was in the TV film, played by Robert Delgado. No, Robert Delgado. Robert, I can't remember his last name. It's driving me around the bend. But we do know who made the TV film, Master, who was actually just this sort of orb. I will be reviewing that as time goes on. But this was the last time we saw him in Classic Who form, if you will. So the whole episode has the Master, the Doctor, both in TARDISes, right? So it sort of helped show the point that the Master does have a TARDIS, even though we already knew that. We just had more proof that that was a possibility. Now, what we also have in this is we have the position of, how can we make this funny? How can we have many cameos as possible? So, the TARDIS land in this place, and the whole gag, before we move on to the main element of this, is the fact that they have this wall that every time they move, Ron Atkinson is like, well, I've gone 500 years before you, and then he comes back and they all went back in time before each other until the Master falls down this hole. So the elements there work, the expand, and every time they expand they somehow change the history even further to stop the Master from doing his evil deeds. So that element worked really well because it was funny, it was comical, and yeah, you'll like this, and it explained the sort of rivalry, like, oh, I've done it like this. And if someone had come across this, never seen Doctor Who before, and it was their first outing because they were watching Red Nose Day at the time, they wouldn't know the dynamic between the characters. So having this going, I've gone back in time before you, well, I went back in time before you went back in time before me, and because of all that to-ing and fro-ing, it sort of showed that the dynamic between the Doctor and the Master was obvious, because everyone knew what the TARDIS, well, they didn't really know the name, but they knew what the blue box meant, and they knew, everyone knows a bit about the show, as in the key premise. If you're British, if you're outside of Britain, it's probably less well known as that. So every viewer watching would have some idea, like a very small amount of idea, but will have enough idea to understand what is actually happening at the time. So that scene works really well. So we move away from that and and then we meet the Daleks. Now obviously we can't have a charity special, or we can't have an episode of Doctor without the Daleks, even though, because we haven't seen Doctor in a while, like, and then the TV film didn't really have any Daleks in it actually. So here we are. The Doctor has been kidnapped and the companion have both been kidnapped by the Daleks. And you're thinking, oh no, what's going to happen next? And the jeopardy's there, and that's what also works really well. The jeopardy. Because the jeopardy's there, it works really well. So you're thinking of, how could this go wrong, and where is our comic cameos going to come from? Because in the world of children in need, Red Nose Day, and charity events that have sketches in them, because I know the Stand Up to Cancer, the Channel 4 doesn't include sketches, so I'm just saying the ones that do include sketches, always have like at least one sketch where loads of celebrities are in it, like one at once. So we had Rowan Atkinson then getting killed. Now, what I mean by that is that he then regenerates, and this is where it stops being canon. This where Whowind like that this is just going to be a comedy sketch. We're not going to have this as canon now, because the Doctor's now turned from the 9th to the 10th to the 11th to the 12th. So the cameos that are of significance is Richard E. Grant appears in it. This is before he did Scream of the Shalka, because Scream of the Shalka was a few years after. So Richard E. Grant, Joanna Lumley, can't think of his name though, but it's not Hugh Bonneville, it's the other one that's in a lot of things with. There was recently a film with James Jr. Dench, I can't think of his name, but his name will come back to me, because I can picture his face. And so we have these selection of, well, Joanna Lumley is like the final one to come out of it, and she obviously had the Master that tried to turn himself into a Dalek, which I think the element of the Master turning himself into Dalek should have stayed, because I would have liked the next incarnation of the Master trying to live now that he's half Dalek, which it would have been explored as a concept within either Big Finish or comics or in the books or anywhere. Because I sort of like that element. I think it's like an element that could work in theory, so if we complicate that in somehow, that would be perfect. And that was the end of the special. So what did I think of the episode overall? Well, because it was only a comic release sketch, and it was treated as a full episode, because we had a tactics and everything, I would give that an 8 out of 10. An 8 because it was a sketch, and if you're going to call it a 10, that would be on the same level as all of this, which you really can't do. So I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10. So that's my review of Curse of Fatal Death. More reviews for Whowind coming soon, and there'll be more official episodes. Thank you guys for watching. Time to world. Bye! Let me know if you love this series, because I like it. Don't forget to subscribe to the official Tom Mason YouTube channel.